Hey y'all, it's your Queen Pimp Sun Kiss coming through right quick, right fast with a Royale review for My Wife and Kids. Honey, this is season 1, episode 2. And without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into the specificities of this episode. Now, the name of this episode is The Truth Hurts, and it definitely is surrounding the value of the truth and also the consequences, be it for better or for worse, of the truth. So we kick off the episode and we can infer that it's maybe the top of the morning or the top of the afternoon. Nonetheless, Jay is doing laundry and Michael walks in from the outdoors, comes in, throws his white t-shirt into the pile of clothes that are clearly colored, honey. And she's telling him like, don't be just coming over here dropping clothes over here. This is mixes, and then you done drop the white shirt. The whites don't go with the colors. That ain't what we do. And just like a man, he's talking about, I don't understand why it matter. I don't get the big gazelle. And that leads him into this whole I have a dream speech. I have a dream that one day whites can be mixed with colors in a beautiful Capricornia of washing laundry. Foolishness. And it's what we love about Damon Wayans, and it's what Jay loves about Michael. I also want to point out how a lot of the times when black men want to justify their actions for the simplest of things, they somehow pull some civil rights black shit out their ass. And I'm not speaking on that from major issues. I'm talking about just like little stuff. All of a sudden, black power. But yeah, so Jay is like, quit playing all that foolishness. I'm trying to get done with this laundry. Child, I know when you got a man that play too much, honey, and you be trying to get stuff done, you want to embrace it, but you also know how you gonna feel if you don't get that stuff done. So let's get it. Also, Michael, you could come in and start a folding, start a doing or something. Shoot, you want to make I have a dream speeches for your right to mix whites with colors and make your clothes dingy. Come in here and free at last your wife from the load of this laundry, okay? But that just shows one of Michael's flaws of being a little bit of a pig-headed man and a pig-headed husband, okay? We're gonna work with him, honey. So Jay leads into asking him, you know, do you think I'm getting fat? My clothes are feeling a little snug. And this is them bringing attention to the aesthetic change from episode 1 to 2, because episode 1 is the pilot and it's basically the tryout episode to see if the network is going to buy into it and distribute it, right? And so a lot of things can be changed after the distribution of the pilot episode. I'm not exactly sure if Tisha Campbell had just gained weight in her natural life and they used it and worked it into the script and the storyline for Jay, or if they kind of asked her or required her to gain a little weight for the role. I have mixed feelings about it because of the way in later seasons I feel like it's hammed up a whole lot, but I also understand why, because there is a reality to that, and that's a part of the reason why I don't really have an issue with the weight gain. She's beautiful either way, but I also feel like it implements that realism of women having had kids, getting older, and they're so like in the midst of caring for everybody else that they kind of forget themselves, and sometimes that leads them to gaining a little weight, or you know, sometimes they have so many kids and each time it becomes harder to get the weight off and keep the weight off or whatever. So I do appreciate the implementation of that for the storyline in itself. But what goes on in this particular scene is, you know, she brings it up like, you know, have I gained weight? It's also the writers acknowledging the change in how Tisha Campbell / Jay looks from the first episode to the second episode, right? And it's also implementing the storyline that will, you know, popcorn back in here and there over time. And it allows us to see, you know, despite Michael's flaws and despite his pig-headedness, he really loves his wife. He's really attracted to his wife, and he can be very attentive, compassionate, and enduring to his wife. And he tells her, no, you're not fat. You are P-H-A-T, fabulous. She's fabulous. Yes, I love it, because essentially he is disarming her self-loathing, if you will, and disarming her insecurity that she's feeling for the differences in how she looks. And he's also being honest at the same time, basically acknowledging, yeah, you got a little thick, but it ain't like how you thinking it is. It ain't how you see it. How I see it is you got them cakes, engagement money, you stuff in here. Stacks, baby. Brick of the house, darling. Yes. And that makes her giggle and smile and swoon and all that. And he embraces the swoon, give her a little kiss on the cheek. I love when they have these moments. And I ain't gonna lie, I really prefer, me and one of my friends had a whole conversation about this. I really prefer the display of Michael and Jay's relationship over Martin and Gina's relationship. And honey, I might do a video on that in itself, comparing and contrasting the dynamics of the two relationships. But yeah, so they had a cute little moment or whatever. And Jay goes to like fanning the clothes. And a card falls out. Well, you know, of course, at first, she solidifies and clarifies whether or not it's Michael or Junior's pantses. Michael is like, I don't ever have more than 38 pockets in my pants. Giving some attention to, you know, like the style of the times, how style has changed and things of that nature. That also points out, too, that Michael and Jay are not that old because they were teen parents. So they are able to have like 2 teenage children and they are still like kind of in their prime, right? So that's cute. That's cute. And that's a difference from what we usually see in sitcoms also. We usually see much older couples, usually like middle age, and their kids are teenagers about to go to college and stuff like that. So yeah, another uniqueness of this show. But yeah, she got a fan in the pants and a tattoo card falls out. And Michael notices and points out that it's a discount card for the individual's next visit, okay? Which implements that Junior went to a tattoo parlor, was serviced, and got a card to come back, okay? And Jay is trying to kind of advocate for him a little taste or whatever, like, oh, you know, he might be holding it for a friend and all this, that, and a third. Also, I want to point out something, because it's a foreshadow to other things that I'm gonna end up pointing out about Jay when it comes to Junior, okay? But when she was first fanning the pants and the card came out, she thought it was numbers from girls, like girls, you know, steady giving him numbers and whatnot. So that tells us too that Junior be having a girly swooning or whatever. Okay. So besides all that, she was like kind of irritated and hot in the pot about that, like disdaining that girls are vying for his attention, right? But when the tattoo card come out, one, you know, hot steam kind of dwindles down, and she goes into the benefit of the doubt bag and the devil's advocate bag and kind of trying to make excuses and derail, you know, the attention from it, okay? Just keep that in mind. But she goes talking about, oh, you know, maybe he's holding it for a friend and all this, that, and the third. And Michael is like, because every time he say he holding it for a friend or he doing something for a friend or it was one of his friends, it turns out to be him. And Michael is like, well, I hope he got room on his ass because I got some marks I want to leave on it. A fool. So in the midst of them conversing on the subject, Junior walks in, okay? They spoke of that devil and he arrived. So they hem him up. Jay asks him straight up, look, I'm looking dead in the eye. Tell me right now, do you have a tattoo or nah? Junior look her in her eye and say, no, I don't have a tattoo. Michael ain't buying it. Junior like, you don't think it could be one of my friends? Dang, I can't walk up in the kitchen without being accused of stuff. Well, Mr. Sir, if you weren't actually out here doing stuff, you wouldn't be getting accused of stuff. And that's the gag. But see, that's where one of them truths come in and hurt. We ain't got there yet. Just hold that thought. But think about this thought. Michael, at the very beginning, was just trying to justify his actions and deflect from the fact that he is causing discrepancy in the laundry. You want to mix whites with colors. That makes the clothes dingy and that messes up the whites. So now here your son is gaslighting y'all, wanting to justify his actions. Why? Okay. So, hold it out. So Michael let him know he ain't buying it, honey. And Junior wants to have a whole conniption, storm out the room and all this and that. Tisk. Jay is like, my son doesn't lie. Michael says, well, that's interesting because mine does. Terrible. So, Katie and her friends then walk in a single file line with big old smiles on their faces. And Michael is like, why do I get the feeling that you all want something? because they do. And you can see Katie nudge her friend a little bit, you know what I'm saying, to go ahead and make the proposal. And she understands the assignment. Mr. Kyle, can Katie please come over to our house for a sleepover? And Michael is like, no, I don't think Katie is ready for another sleepover because one, she had her friend ask me instead of asking me herself. And the last time we let her go to a sleepover, she got scared in the middle of the night and I had to get up to go pick her up and I didn't get to finish playing the game that I was with her mommy. Ouch. So Katie is PO'd. And with that being noted, not only does this episode do a lot of character development for the kids, but also gives a lot of implementation of where they get a lot of their characteristics from, such as, you know, the personality traits that they inherited from their parents. Okay. And I'm gonna point it out as we go. First and foremost, Miss Katie, honey. She is PO'd. Snaps her finger, storms off. She is set in what she believes, honey. And that is definitely Mr. Michael Kyle there. But we'll revisit Katie's pettiness momentarily. We first have to be met with a major example of where she gets it from, which means we have to indulge and dissect Mr. Kyle's pettiness. And through this, we're gonna see where Junior gets his shiesty ways from. Okay, we still love Jay. We love her, all right? She good people, but we're gonna talk about some of them shiesty ways. So Michael is having a conniption about his stereo when Jay walks in, right? And she playing real coy, honey, playing real coy. He like, bro, you seen anybody playing around my stereo? You seen what happened to my stereo? And she like, what you talking about? I don't know nothing about no stereo. What stereo? If I seen that stereo out in public, wouldn't even recognize it if I saw it. Sorry to that stereo. And he flicked a little button. He like, you hear that? You hear that? She like, honey, I don't hear nothing. He like, of course you don't hear nothing because it's barocative. Some little person walked their butt over here, poured soda down the little part that make it work. I forgot what word he used, but the little part that make it work, the little essential part of it that's supposed to activate it and make sounds and stuff. Somebody can't pour soda down it. And it's very easy to blame the kids in this moment, right? Because kids always doing stuff and they be the main ones to be like freaking over electronics and whatnot. Pouring soda on stuff, wasting stuff on stuff, juice, soda, pudding, all different types of sticky stuff like that, right? So Jay gonna say, baby, I ain't seen none of the kids playing around the stereo. Can we just fix it and move on, get another one or something? Because this just seemed like some little stuff. Now, darling, keep in mind, Jay was about to get 38 hot when she thought that it was numbers from the girls in her son's pocket, huh? But she was kind of on the chill when it came to the tattoos. And she real chill when it comes to this here stereo situation. She wasn't just dismiss it and move on. So, child, Claire coming down the stairs. Michael like, hey, you, come here. What you got going? Somebody done poured soda down my stereo, honey, and broke it. You seen who did that? She like, no, I don't even drink soda. My body is a temple. I just drink water. Besides, everyone knows not to mess with your stuff. Now, honey, if you know anything about this version of Claire, then you know this disposition she got going here is not the norm. Now, she probably telling the truth about not drinking soda, but this persona that she got going on here, this disposition she's putting on here with this smile and all that being coy, very Jay-like, right? So you know something is up. She may not have done it, but she knows something. So Katie enters and he scoop up Katie like, hey, you been playing around my stereo? You been messing with my stereo? She like, first of all, I can't even reach your stereo. But if I could, I would, honey, because you mean. Fuck your stereo and fuck you. She didn't say that last part, but that's the energy that she was giving. And she was giving that energy so hard that Michael was like, I am give you a boost up them steps. Okay, petty overload with the cuteness overload, because this is literally just two mirrors clashing in the cutest little way. So then he called Junior down, honey, with authority. First of all, I recognize that he put a little more bass in his voice when confronting Junior, because Junior is the boy and that's how he understands that he's supposed to handle him, because he's a boy and he's a man and all this other stuff. But yeah, he's also speaking to him that way because he's still irritated and agitated with him about this whole tattoo situation. And Junior seemed like he always up to something, which throughout the seasons we learned that he is always up to something. Just answer. But yeah, he don't even ask him if he know who did it or if he did it or none of that. He just like, why you was messing with my stereo? Why you break my stereo? And Junior's like, I did not bother your stereo. I don't bother your stereo. I have my own stereo. But if I knew, I'd let you know. And I wish you all the best. Michael senses the fuckery of that. And he like, that boy got tattoos. That boy got tattoos. And here go Jay advocating for him again, right? Gotta make excuses and benefit of the doubt, all this other foolishness. And with that being said, let's point out another Junior and Jay parallel. When Jay walked in, she wanted to dismiss it, and then she wanted to try and suggest fixing it and just getting another one and all that. And Junior bring his butt downstairs talking about, oh, but if I knew, I'd tell you, and wish you the best and all that. Tisk. Tisk, okay? So implications of the mask they wear to cover their shit. It also reminds me of the type of person that will steal from you and then be like, oh my gosh, are you serious? I don't know what happened, but let me help you find it. Just trifling. But I feel like Jay is sneaky like that because it's an indication that she came from a strict household, and that strict household influenced her to be sneaky and like lie essentially to cover up her stuff and to cover her tracks and all of that. And low-key, high-key, all of that played a part in her getting pregnant as a teenager. And that's what is showing up with Junior, and that's kind of a part of why they are so a little antsy about Junior, a little worried about Junior, because he shows those signs of someone that's about to get into some shit because they feel like they got to lie to kick it. And that also comes with elements of being easily influenced. And we're going to talk more about that as we go through this episode. And of course, it's going to come up even more through other episodes. But yeah. But Michael starts to kind of passive aggressively grill him again. And the way he does this is he walks over and it's like, hey, Junior, let's we don't bond like we used to, you know what I'm saying? Lift up your shirt. Let me see your belly button and all this other stuff. Trying to see if he got tattoos and stuff. Then he like, let's play a game of one-on-one. Okay? Shirts and skins. I be shirts, you be skins. And Michael is like, I think we can tell what team we're on if it's just one-on-one. And he like, you just wanting the fun. We just don't chill like we used to. We don't get intimate like we used to. Let's go take a shower together. And Michael, they both named Michael. But Junior is like, dang, you kind of starting to scare me. It's getting weird. And Jay is like, I don't know. I'm starting to get a little concerned myself, honey. What is happening? And of course, we already established that she ain't really trying to get into it. You know what I'm saying? So they let him go. And Michael is all like, okay, I want to call a family meeting. And Jay is like, wait a minute. You talking about that family meeting where everybody like has to confess something and there are no repercussions and all this and that in his face and all that? And he like, yes. And she like, I don't really think that's necessary. I just doing too much. And like, you just really want to dig into everything. And he like, look, you making too much about all this. Ain't even about nothing. I just want the satisfaction of yelling, aha, into their face when I see who the person is that lied in my face when I asked the first time. So we get this little scene with Katie and Michael at the table, right? And this is giving us more indication of the similarities that Katie has to Michael, the pettiness it is. So she up here like, can I go, please? And he's like, I told you no. And da. And she's like, well, I don't want to talk to you anymore. You're invincible. And he's like, oh, well, if I'm invincible, you're invincible. And she's like, I hear someone, but I don't see anyone. And he's like, well, I smell someone, but I don't see anyone. And he's like, well, I guess since we are invincible, I'm just going to have to eat this chocolate bar with all this caramel and nuts in it and all that by myself. And she's like, I don't care. I can't eat chocolate. No way. It gives me the runs. And she storms off. Now, honey, why does chocolate give her the runs? Is it the dairy? Is it the cocoa? Or did she just say that to gross him out? Alright, we get into this meeting. Michael is going down the rules. Of course, it's real simple. Confess your sins without repercussions, honey. And the purpose of meetings like these is to basically have open communication and make everybody comfortable with the truth, expressing it and accepting it, which I feel like is very important in relationships, specifically in parent-child relationships, which, like I said, there's a special emphasis that they have on trying to prevent childhood pregnancy by way of making sure their kids are not afraid of them one way or another. And fear is a large thing that gets in the way, honey, of communication. So I feel like it's a very good like thing to implement to help your kids understand how to handle the truth. But yeah, so he's running it down, and then here go Junior acting like his mama, stalling with questions about the specificities of the rules of the meeting. Now, honey, they very simple. Y'all heard? I just said it. They're very simple. But he up here, so even if it's this, even if it's that, even if it's the third, and him going through that whole rundown of shenanigans, baby, sets Jay into a tizzy, and she has a major outburst of confession. All right, stop torturing me. I did it. I was in here cleaning, listening to Whitney. You remember on that song when she go, woo, I went, woo, my arms went, woo. Michael says, all right, that's it. I'm banning Whitney. I'm banning Bobby. They ain't nothing but trouble. The whole Houston family. Sissy, Dion, never understood any of them. Tisk! Yes, honey. Yes. Jay done knocked over a soda can with soda in it that poured out onto the stereo, going too hard to some Whitney Houston. Baby, I can only imagine what would have happened if she was listening to some Lil Richard. But honey, Michael is having a whole meltdown at this point. Like, how could you lie to me? Why would you lie to me? And she is popping off talking about, see, no, I didn't lie. I didn't say I didn't do it. I just said I didn't see any of the kids do it. See, trifling. Now keep that in mind how she just did that, right? So Michael is like, oh, you twisting it on me. You're twisting it. Playing on semantics. So he's very comfortable in his act of going in at this point. And it sends Jay into frantically screaming, no repercussions, no repercussions, no repercussions. And with that petty reminder of hers, he uses it to transmute and transfer some pettiness of his own, honey. Yes, he uses her confession to work on the kids. So he's like, okay. You confessed. All is forgiven. Almost. Wait. Yes, that is why we love Damon Wayans. So after he get done with all of that foolishness, he then turns to the kids like, you see how easy that was? She confessed. She feels relieved. Ain't no more Sona. She lives to mess up and tell the truth another day. And here she go, feel good about myself. Yup. I'm sure you do. So Michael turns to the kids like, okay, so with all that being said, does anybody else have anything that they would like to admit to free of consequences? So Claire says, well, I missed curfew last Friday by an hour. He says, okay, you're forgiven. Katie gonna say, I have a boyfriend. Michael says, that's a lie. I don't know now, Katie might have had a boyfriend, honey. When did she meet Lil Franklin? But also, that could be something that she was saying to pick at him, just knowing how he is. So then, Junior pop out his mouth. I got a couple of tattoos. Michael smiles, does the little winking gun at him, smiles again, and then charges at him. I'm gonna kill him. Baby, Michael was about to hit the Homer Simpson strangle on your boy. So we back to the kitchen or whatever. Junior comes in the kitchen, Michael sitting down, Jay over to the side doing her thing over at the bar, and Michael is like, hey, guy with tattoos, being passive aggressive, picking at him, teasing him about his tattoos, and Junior is like, you still mad about the tattoos, you doing this and that, you trying to read all that. So Michael is like, let me see what was so important that you had to sneak and get it tattooed on your body for the rest of your life type shit. So he eagerly shows his tattoos to Michael. He got a heart that says mom, and he got some Asian type language and Asian writing transcript on his arm, right? And he say they're supposed to say knowledge. And Michael is like, do you speak Asian? He like, no. So how you know that don't say spicy tuna roll? But nah, for real. So just as eagerly as he showed Michael his tattoos, Michael eagerly lets him know that he thinks that they are stupid. And I'm not gonna lie, I think they are stupid also. And I think that being the fact that Junior is supposed to be an artist, he could have done way better than that. And I definitely think this is an implication of how easily influenced he is, because clearly he got those tattoo ideas from watching some TV show or watching some music videos or something, and just copied the tattoos that he saw on those people. He didn't put any true thoughts into even trying to create a deep meaning for the tattoos or a deeper desire for the tattoos at all. Like, he could have drew his own tattoos. And Michael is like, when you get older, that ain't gonna be giving the same thing that it had gave right now. And for the time period, I could definitely see how you would have that thought, but also within the next couple of years, Junior should have sense enough to go get that touched up, you know what I'm saying? And the way technology has advanced and such, the tattoos last a lot longer, than before. And like I said, he can get it touched up. He can also get it covered up, okay, if he goes to the right artist. But with that being said, it kind of annoys me that they never revisited this storyline. They never mentioned his whole tattoo situation again, if I'm not mistaken. I may have to correct myself once I get on down in the rest of the episodes. But from what I can remember, they never revisited his tattoo situation. And I feel like that would have been a cool storyline. Like, get on down the line and he regrets the tattoo and they have to figure out, how to work with it or whatever. So, I also think it would have been cool if he had got somebody's name tattooed on him. Like, if he had got, like, a little girl name tattooed on him or something. Child. But I feel like this shows that, like I said, Junior is not that deep. He don't think that deep. Because you got a heart with mom, the word mom tattooed in it. But you didn't even think to get your mother's name tattooed on you. Not even Jay. But hold that thought. Me personally, and this could change because I am young, but me personally, I feel like I wouldn't be like a regular mom. I'd be a cool mom. But no. Like, on the tattoo subject, I feel like if my child expressed wanting a tattoo, we would have that conversation and I would want to pick their brain about why they want a tattoo, what would they get if they were to get a tattoo, the pros and the cons, certain repercussions, things that come with it. Yeah, because I have tattoos. But I didn't get my first one until I was 18. That way, I ain't have to worry about asking my mama permission for real. I knew she didn't want me to do it, but I was 18, so I did my thing. I still ain't say nothing. I just did my thing. But she didn't find out I had tattoos until my second tattoo. And child, for whatever reason, she cried. But I guess it's like, maybe it's something that parallels what Jay is going to say, and we'll get to that. But yeah, with all that being said, before we get to that, I feel like by the age of 16, I wouldn't mind, co-collaborating with my child on a tattoo venture and actually escorting them to a good, clean, experienced, licensed tattoo artist with a shop and all of that, and I'd be there to supervise and support and all of that. Because if a person really wants a tattoo, like Junior, regardless of whatever, if they really want it, they gonna get it. And I would much rather educate my child, teach my child how to educate themselves, and also be there to support and supervise the situation. And so, much like their goal with the open communication thing, the family meeting, and everybody, being able to be honest without being attacked and all of that, same concept. Open communication, make your child feel safe to talk to you, and that way you can protect them better, and they will allow you to protect them better and to guide them accordingly. You know what I'm saying? Because if your child sneaks and gets a tattoo, you run a high risk of them doing it in a very uneducated, lack of hygiene manner. They will likely find just anybody, and no shade, because everybody starts somewhere, and a lot of people do tattoos at their homes. But everybody don't keep their house clean, just like everybody don't keep their utensils clean. Some folks be having all types of stuff going on in their house, doing stuff, you know what I'm saying? And it's a higher risk of them doing some shit that'll like really fuck with their health, get them an infection, the tattoo be raggedy and all that. So like, similar to how it's really best that you protect your kids with the truth and condoms if they are expressing desires to have sex, because if you don't, they're gonna go about it the wrong way and it'll be very dangerous and detrimental. Yeah, same thing. So everybody may not agree with that, but in a lot of cases it's the truth, and we'll talk about that more as we get through the episode also. So Jay calls him over to see the tattoos, and She's like, I don't like it, but I might as well accept it and learn to get used to it. And I really feel like being the fact that I gave birth to you, it's like you're trying to rewrite my work. And that's what I mean by I feel like my mama may have been thinking that same way. The reason why she cried, like, oh my gosh, she doesn't like what we created, so she wants to improvise. It's like, no, I just like tattoos. I can express myself in this way. My mama also obsesses over image in a lot of ways. And, it's kind of a common thing for a certain group of people that just have all these negative connotations and things when it comes to tattoos. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of feel like that may be rooted in anti-blackness, because a lot of indigenous tribes, African tribes, Native American tribes, things of that nature, they had tattoos that were indicative of a lot of things. That's a conversation for another day. When Jay, in the middle of her little rant, notices that he has a tattoo that says mom, she begins to melt and is just elevated off the fact that he has a tattoo that says mom. Not Jay, not Janet, but the word mom. And this is one of the reasons why I feel like Junior gets a little bit of his delayed aspects, delayed in the brain. Because like I said, it don't even say Jay. It don't even say Janet. It says mom. He got them tattoo ideas from watching anime and that episode of SpongeBob where he went up in the salty spittoon. He was not thinking about you, ma'am. And like I said, he didn't get those tattoos for a reason that's really personal and deep and valuable to him. He got them to be an asshole. So within the next couple of years, a person like him would regret those tattoos indeed. But Michael's petty works overtime, and he ain't feeling how Jay is over here wooing and eyeing over his tattoos, showing him some daggone embracing of them. And he observes Junior going to put the jug of milk back into the fridge with only a swallow of milk in there. Shout out to Della Reese and Harlem Nights. Who put a swallow of orange juice back in the goddamn refrigerator? But in this case, it's milk. And I didn't think about it before, but in hindsight, this is definitely paying a bit of homage to Harlem Nights. But unlike Della Reese, Michael is not about to cuss out his son while making a sandwich. But he is gonna snap on him. Passive aggressively because of the tattoos. But he's making it about the milk and laying it on thick that this is an indication of his selfishness. And so he tells him he is grounded, he is on punishment, he got to clear out his room of everything that is fun. He don't want nothing left up in there except books and a bed, and he's still pondering about the bed. So Junior lackadaisically strolls off to go, abide by his father, and Jay checks him. She tells him that crap was bogus and that he's using it as an excuse to punish him for the tattoos. And Michael is trying to be 10 toes down in what he says his reasoning is, which is the swallow of milk that he put back into the fridge, right? Talking about what if he wants some cereal? What if he wants some milk and cookies? You know what I'm saying? She tells him he's being a hypocrite. He is like, okay, yeah, I'm being a hypocrite. I got the right to be a hypocrite as a parent. As a parent, you got to be a hypocrite. And she expresses to him how problematic this is, and basically making it clear to him that this is learned behavior from your parents, your overly domineering parents, and how roughly they handle you. We run this household as a democracy for a reason. And he like, because see, the democracy ain't got us nowhere. It's time to be a dictatorship, and I'm the dictator. And I'm sure Jay is in her mind like, you're a dick, you're being a dick. But essentially, I feel like Michael feels challenged, let alone by his son. He feels like his authority is being tried. He feels like there's some primal male dick swinging shit going on here. So he feels the need to put his dick on the table. But Jay is making it a point to pull him out of his ego and his pride. And she pulls out a little mirror, hands it to him, and it's like, look at yourself. What do you see? He gonna say, fine, bald-headed man, little angry. And she is like, and what does this fine, bald-headed man, little angry, having his ear? And he gonna say, little diamond that could be a little bigger. And Jay makes a very good point with it, because men having earrings and different piercings and stuff like that now is much more normal and much more acceptable. But back in the day, it was not. Back in the day, too, there was a lot of homophobia surrounding people's perspectives of men who had earrings, nose rings, eyebrow rings, all that. And so she's reminding him of how poorly his father would react to things. And he also acknowledges, yeah, I mean, I feel like it's different. You know, he acknowledges it, but still trying to justify his actions with it. Well, yeah, well, my daddy beat me. My daddy did this and that, da, da, da. And it's like, yeah, but really think about it. He did all that just to fast forward and get to this time period and even the time period of which they're in on My Wife and Kids for it to be acceptable, not a big deal. Michael is a successful businessman. He has a wife and kids. And it's like you did all of that for nothing. When, you know, it's like when you get down the line in hindsight, all that hooping and hollering over his piercing was nothing. So it's like you run a high risk of getting down the line and all that hooping and hollering and extra shit over them tattoos will be nothing. Because like I said before, when I was talking about the other scene, you get down the line in the next couple of years after, you know, the time of which this show is set, technology has already progressed greatly, let alone to this date, and he should have sense enough to go get it touched up, covered up, taken off. You got that option now if you got the money, you know what I'm saying? So get on down the line and all that hooping and hollering was over nothing. It was just over your own thoughts and your own pride and ego getting the best of you and you allowing it to rule you. But Michael is still kind of, you know, you can tell that he's listening and he understands exactly what she's saying, but verbally he's still trying to win the argument and justify his actions. He started making up words and quotes and stuff, doing that thing that men do when they just want to win the argument. But she ends up snapping him out of it by essentially speaking his language, which I feel like is beautiful and very indicative of the true bond that they really have, right? And she says to him, really think about it. Think about how your parents were with you. Think about the plans that we set in motion when we had these kids and ask yourself, do you want to just imitate your father or do you want to be your own man? And that's definitely the perfect question to ask him in that moment, because the message he's trying to send to Junior and the conversation that he's trying to have is about making sure that Junior has a concept of being his own person, being his own man. And that's definitely why it's so important to have a wife that is not afraid to speak her mind, as well as speak your language, all at the same time and at the proper times and places. And, you know, had the patience to even, you know, go through the motions of figuring out how to bring it all together, right? And that's why it's ever so important for, if you want to be a wife or you want to be a long-term companion to someone, you have to be willing to speak your mind and speak their language. It's going to be a time and a place for one, the other, both, child, and some more. But communication is key, especially when it comes to accountability. And that's what they're trying to teach, so they got to practice what they preach. And that leads Michael to going upstairs to have a conversation with Junior. And he tells him, stop doing all that, stop packing up your stuff, it's all good, you're not grounded, what I was on was bogus, and I apologize. And Junior accepts it, and then Michael is like, and I take it back, because I need you to understand that we have to have a real conversation and understanding about the fact that you lied and tried to twist it. And Junior kind of continues to try to twist it. And Michael is like, bro, you knew not to ask me because I was going to tell you no. So you know that you're wrong. You tried to twist it because you know that you wrong. You looked us in our face and you lied, and it's consequences for lying in the real life, and that's something that you have to understand. So Junior is like, he did it to feel like his own person, and he also expresses that Michael has to understand that he's growing up. And so I'm like, so you did this as an expression of your maturity, but you didn't even put much thought behind the tattoos that you got. And you don't even understand that honesty is a large part of being mature. So that just goes to prove your parents' point right there. But I do feel like that a part of what Junior is trying to express is that he kind of feels like he's pressured to be a carbon copy of Michael. I mean, he's the only boy and he's a junior, which means he has Michael's whole name. And I believe he's the third in the generation of Michaels. So that probably gives him a bit of an identity crisis, feeling like I said, he got to do everything his daddy do or constantly function in the image of his daddy. And he felt like he had to get tattoos in order to stand out and stand up against Michael. But it's very interesting. It makes me feel like it's a bit of like admiration and jealousy all at the same time. And that brings my attention back to how Jay kind of coddles him and makes excuses for him and sometimes overly advocates for him. And the way that a lot of mothers tend to do with their sons and end up forming an Oedipus complex or even a Jocasta complex dynamic between the mother and the son. And outside of that specifically, even when that type of dynamic does not exist, it can end up with the son growing up to feel like all of their actions should be justified and excused. And this takes me back to something that I pointed out in the review on episode 1, that Michael has gotten into a place of his business where he doesn't have to work as much. He doesn't have to be gone as much. So he has more time around the house. And so that makes me feel like, as far as the domestic duties and all of that is concerned, Jay has been a married single mother, in the form of a housewife, because their roles seem to have been Michael works, pays the bills, Jay is at home with the kids and does everything else. And so even though they're married and Michael is present, essentially his work didn't allow him to be as present as needed or as convenient. Therefore, it leaves the door open to Jay kind of forming an unhealthy dynamic and attachment with her son, kind of making him a baby boy. But yeah, both babying him and kind of making him the man in her life. Like, hence, going back to the very beginning, when she was about to be 38 hot over the girls giving Junior their numbers. He's supposed to be getting numbers from girls. Why are you upset about that? But you're not that upset about the tattoos. It's giving like little hints at a dynamic at play there, a common dynamic at play there, but a toxic one nonetheless. Because not only do I feel like Jay has some slow elements and it kind of passed down to Junior, I also feel like Jay has made him kind of slow by coddling him. And so now that Michael is able to be around the house more often and he's stepping into his fatherly duties and implementing, his authority and discipline and all that, Junior don't know how to take it, and he's rebelling and he's challenging his daddy. And I do feel like Michael kind of instinctively knew that, which is why he also probably recognized it as Junior testing him. I also feel like Junior is associating controlling behavior with being an adult. And I also feel like that is a reflection of Michael, because I mentioned in the review for episode 1 too that Michael does exhibit some pig-headed man kind of controlling behaviors. It ain't too much. They're simple flaws and not toxic. And that's because, one, he's self-aware and he's open to reproach. And functioning in a way where you don't feel like you're beyond reproach all the time is definitely healthy when dealing with children, dealing with your own children. It makes them feel more comfortable talking to you, and not only talking but listening, because people not practicing what they preach also causes a lot of noise in communication. It makes people, i.e. children, not want to listen to them, because I can see your hypocrisy. Why would I listen to you if you don't listen to yourself? But yeah, Michael does a really good job at validating his feelings and holding him accountable and making it clear to him that you trying to show that you're mature and all of this, but honesty is a large part of it, because you can't have stability. You can't really create the life you really need and desire for yourself if you cannot trust yourself, let alone other people do not feel like they can trust you. Junior takes it all in and they have a hug. And I love this display of a father and son expressing affection with each other. I also feel like this is really one of the only shows of this time period, especially, where affection is shown amongst the family in such a way, let alone, like, I was thinking about the Cosby Show and how, they would have heartfelt conversations and you understood that there was love there. But I don't remember Cliff and Theo having hugs like this. I don't remember Cliff or even Claire and the girls having like deep family love hugs and kisses and things of that nature. I don't recall seeing that. I don't recall seeing it on Martin. The only other place I can think of seeing that type of display of affection within the family is The Fresh Prince, because Phil would hug the crap out of them, and eventually Will and Carlton would hug each other. And that's just very interesting, very interesting. But yeah, so Junior is like, eventually, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to breathe. I think if we stay here too long, we're gonna starve. And so Michael is like, okay, well, let's go get some cookies. He was finna say, let's go get some milk and cookies, but they ain't had but a swallow of milk left, child. So I guess that teaches Junior another lesson. Don't be waiting till the last minute when you see that some milk is needed. They could have been about that milk. But so now that he got that solved, he got to go downstairs and work on your girl Katie. So he got her dogs and he playing with them. And he using them to basically impersonate Katie and her little friend. And he's roasting himself. He's roasting himself vicariously through the dogs. Like, why won't your daddy let you come over to my house for a sleepover? And the Katie doll is like, because he's a big, mean old Grinch. That's why. Big, stupid, old, mean, grumpy old man. That's why. So Katie's going in the refrigerator, apparently looking for some milk. Michael uses the doll to turn around and tell her, girl, ain't no milk in the refrigerator. And Katie turned around like, what you saying? And Michael, vicariously through the doll, is like, I said, Red, there ain't no milk in the refrigerator. Your brother drank all the milk. And Katie walks over there and she's like, have you seen my daddy? And he like, is he tall, bald, and handsome? And she's like, he's tall and bald. And he responds to the dog like, yeah, I seen him. And Katie is like, well, can you tell him I said, can my little friend come over here for a sleepover? And the dog, Michael, delivers the message to Michael. And he is like, under one condition. She got to give me a hug and a kiss. And he says, vicariously through the dog, he said he wants some sugars from you in order for you to have a sleepover. And she said, I heard you, silly. And she gives him a big old hug and kiss. And they show some more good family, parent-child affection. And y'all, that is the end of the episode. And this is honestly one of my favorite episodes of My Wife and Kids because I love a lot of the concepts that they had going on. And Damon's ad-libbing and his jokes are always unmatched. I think one of my favorite jokes of the episode is him being like, how you know that tattoo? And when he bans Whitney Houston, Bobby, and the whole Whitney Houston family from the house. I also love how we got to that point with Jay admitting frantically and explaining. I love how they use the tattoo situation to have a conversation about honesty and trust and leading by example and learning all about consequences and those little hints of showing how pathologies happen, you know, how traits are passed down from generation to generation. The way those little hints of that are sprinkled in there, and they even have the blatant conversation about passing tactics, parental tactics and temperaments and things down. And they use Katie even to do it in a very seamless manner. Because all that pettiness and vindictiveness she had going is all Michael. And he had to check himself before he wrecked himself. Not only with Junior, but also Katie. And like I said, I love the implementation of kind of showing a different dimension of Jay. Not really different, but just giving a different representation of housewives in general. Because there are certain wives that enable everything that their husbands do because their husbands are men and they just been taught that they're just supposed to enable men, and or they've been taught that because the man pays the bills and all this, that, and the third, that they have to enable everything that the man does and go along with everything that he says and tries to do and all of that. And Jay ain't that chick. If she got something to say, she gonna say it. She gonna be sweet about it. She gonna be loving about it, but she also gonna be firm about it. And that definitely helps balance out power and respect. It is definitely good representation for women and girls in general. And I ain't gonna lie, I kind of missed Claire this episode. She didn't really have much going on or to do, but I did really enjoy the bits that we got from her. Daddy, I don't drink soda. My body is a temple. I just drink water. Plus, everyone knows not to mess with your stuff. Last Friday, I missed curfew by an hour. And as I said before multiple times, I really enjoy the concept of the family meeting, everybody being able to be honest. So yes, love the lessons, concepts, all the themes of the episode, all of the jokes of the episode. And honey, well, all that being said, child, if I do say so myself, honey, I milk this cow dry. And like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back through these queenly quarters for the next time. And be sure to bless my comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you all light, love, healing, and liberation.